anything about showing he was discharged, because that explains why the doctor at Stony Plain was like, listen, he was like, what is he doing here? They said and the doctor was like, he's not supposed to even be here, so that meant my dad was still considered admitted at the hospital. So, again, we asked, how did he get out? So where we're at right now is, I said, well, I already told the officer, I said, when the opportunity presents itself, we're going to do an independent autopsy, and it will be found my dad had drugs in his system, and the only way he could have gotten that was my uncle poisoned him.
And the medical examiner's autopsy showed nothing?
Well, that's according to the medical examiner's chart, was saying that his death was natural. He was seen for erratic behavior and released. This was July 3rd was when it was stamped by the medical examiner's office. So I wrote Benjamin Bannock and I wrote Ron Jacobs. I have served Ron Jacobs, and they've already been given Form 51A. So if I don't hear from them, because nobody has rebutted the information that I've sent out, so I said, well, you know what? Here's what's going to happen now. I've already informed Interpol. Interpol was here in Edmonton last month. So I've sent out the Form 51A under the Court Justice Act, as well as in accord with the Hague Statute on judicial and extrajudicial documents. So if I don't get a response, point for point of the information that I have said, this is going to go to the International Criminal Court. I've already informed the prosecutor's office. They've already got all the documentation. So my thing has been, why is it none of the law enforcement agencies, from the EPS to the RCMP, are questioning my uncle? You picked him up. We didn't, like I said, we didn't even know that. My mother hasn't even heard from my dad's psychologist, Maureen Duggan.
I cannot speak for what happened in Stony.
No, I'm aware of that, ma'am. What I'm saying though is, as an officer, I'm giving you knowledge, and it's mandated. Once you have been given knowledge, you must investigate. Because you're calling because my uncle is saying somebody's messing with the car on the 16th of July. I was like, I was just at the house 3 days ago.
Okay.
And I spoke with Constable Wagner. I took video I have video. Because when I walk on the property, I look to check, and I videotape everything. So I have videotape on the 22nd,
Okay.
right, with the sheetrock that he's got in the back of the truck, the van that's sitting there. There's all that stuff I have on record. So if there was an incident, that should have been when Miss Constable Wagner should have asked me about that. So obviously that never occurred. So therefore, again, my uncle is lying.
She was just not aware of it, because we were assigned different files as a different complaint.
But ma'am, that was the time my uncle was home. I didn't know he was home. He was home. He opened the door. She walked in. He closed the storm door. Then he closes the front door behind her, which I thought, as a law enforcement, that would be somewhat of a security risk for a female officer to be in a house, and she doesn't know if it was just only him in there, and he closes the door behind her.
Well, I appreciate concern. However, like I said, I wasn't there.
I am aware of that. I am aware of that. And like I said, there was herself and another, I guess, constable was there. Another female RCMP officer was there as well. I'm just informing you because in the event this subject may come up in the future, this is what happened. So I want that. That's why I'm saying that, because I want it duly recorded and noted.
Okay, and you said he sexually assaulted someone's daughter, or?
My sister.
Your sister?
Yeah.
Did your sister make a complaint? Report it?
No, she hasn't, because my thing is this. Based upon the inability of him being questioned, it appears that he's a confidential informant. So therefore, his code name being treacherous, none of the law enforcement agencies can talk to him.
How do you know his code name, or whether he's a...
Because there's a CSIS agent that's wrote a book out called Treacherous, and he was a undercover for 17 years. He's published the book.
Who has?
What's his name? Deer or Reed, or I can't remember the guy's last name. He was out there in Nova Scotia, out there.
So your uncle is an informant for CSIS?
All the evidence that I've been collecting tends to lead to that, because the last officer that I spoke with was Officer Clayton O'Kell of the EPS, badge number 2161, and I asked him, are you going to question my uncle? You're questioning me. No one's really asking my mother what happened. I said, so are you going to question him? He's the one that had my dad last. He's the one that brought him home, because my dad was brought from the house, so he didn't have his car with him.
Well, I definitely advise you to ask your sister to report it to the police, because if there is no official report of something occurring, then obviously they won't be questioning him.
As far as the rape is concerned, no.
Right.
And that's not an issue.
Have you brought all this up with Stoney?
I've brought this, listen, I faxed Melanie Melchuk. She has not returned my calls. I've emailed Melanie Melchuk. RCMP start blocking my emails. I email Edmonton Police Services. They block me, so I can't email the Edmonton Police Services. Detective Hashim called, what's his badge number? 1654. He called and spoke with me, and then afterward, I haven't heard from him in about 3 or 4 months. Right? I faxed the Edmonton Chief of Police about this matter, why they closed the case on the day my dad died. Right? And I had to call the Edmonton Police Commission, and that's when I found out that the case was closed. I said, why did you guys close the case? And furthermore, you guys didn't send us anything in writing or a phone call to let us know the case was closed. So I've done everything. It's out there already. None of these heads, whether it be Jim Judd, the director of CSIS, whether it be Michael Boyd, the chief of police, whether it be the staff or the Section K for the RCMP, nobody is returning any of my calls. They're not writing. They're not doing anything. I'm fighting tooth and nail just to get information, and I just had my mother did a Freedom of Information request to CSIS, to the person who's in charge of the information. That's been like 2 months, I think, and we haven't heard anything. We emailed her, haven't heard anything. So my thing is, at this point, I've put it out. All the law enforcement agencies in Canada are not interested in following up. Fine, we go to The Hague. How's what?
How's that going?
Oh, well, it's going very well. Article 15 of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Anytime any law enforcement agency refuses to investigate, it's a dereliction of their public oath of office and a violation of not only their charter, it's a violation of the United Nations Charter on Human Rights and all the collateral conventions that Canada has signed on to. That's why I've been faxing Interpol and the International Criminal Court Office of the Prosecutor's Office, so they all know. So I've served, what's the guy's name? What's this guy? Ron Leipert, the Minister of Health. I've served him. I've served Susan Connolly at the Alberta at Capitol Health. Nobody wants to question my uncle. So I said, well, therefore, if they're not questioning him and none of the law enforcement agencies want to question him, then he must be a confidential informant. So therefore, that's why they can't question him. So therefore, we'll take this to The Hague. And because all these enforcement agencies have stayed quiet, silence in commerce is tacit consent and agreement under the Uniform Commercial Code, 2-201 paragraph 2. Therefore, they have conceded by their lack of response that the Interpol and the International Criminal Court now have jurisdiction in this matter.
Okay. I don't know what to say.
There's not much there's not much you can say at this point. I'm giving you knowledge because you're coming in on, this complaint. I was like, well, I got video. I was there Wednesday before the officers came. Everything's fine.
Okay. No, that's, like I said,
So my question to you now is, now that I've